Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you're grinding away studying for the Certified Payroll Professional, or CPP, exam, we're tackling a massive milestone today, mastering record keeping. Here's the secret sauce. To pass this test, you've got to stop thinking like a day-to-day payroll processor and start thinking like a ruthless government auditor. We're going to build that mindset right now. Let's get into it. So picture this. Can you instantly spot a legal compliance failure just by glancing at a stack of employee files? The CPP exam absolutely tests your ability to protect a company from crippling lawsuits and audits. When an auditor walks in, they aren't just double-checking your math, right? They're hunting to see if you accidentally mixed highly sensitive, legally protected info with everyday payroll data. The stakes are huge, and the test makers, they know exactly how to bait you. All right, Section 1, Record Keeping Core Logic. It all kicks off with the Payroll Master File. Your absolute golden rule for the exam is this. This file is strictly for legally mandated records used to calculate pay, taxes, and deductions. Bottom line, if an exam choice doesn't involve math, dollar amounts, hours worked, or tax liability, it almost certainly does not belong in the Payroll Master File, period. When a question asks what goes in this record, you follow the money and you follow the time. Okay, let's lay down Rule A. You must strictly separate the Payroll Master File from the HR and Personnel File. Remember, payroll is all about taxes, hours, and calculations. HR, that's behavior, qualifications, and company policy. So things like performance reviews, disciplinary write-ups, signed handbooks, or even emergency contacts, they go to HR. Now, I know your fancy modern payroll software probably has tabs for all of this, but from a legal and exam perspective, not part of the master record. If it's about behavior, kick it over to HR. Moving right along to Rule B, and this really builds that auditor mindset. Medical files must be kept in a separate, locked file. We are talking strict ADA and HIPAA compliance here. Stashing a doctor's note for sick leave, a workers' comp report, or an accommodation request into a standard payroll or HR file, that's a massive, massive compliance failure. Sure, you track the paid hours for that sick leave and payroll, obviously. But the medical reason why? No way. That stays completely locked away. Let's move into Section 2, Legal File Sorting Rules. Listen closely because this is probably the most common trap on the entire exam. Rule C, Form I-9 is a trick choice. Yes, it's a mandatory legally required document for sure, but federal guidelines explicitly state it should live in its own separate immigration binder. Why? Because if an immigration auditor comes knocking, you just hand them that binder. You definitely do not give them access to everyone's private tax data and net pay. So if you see Form I-9 listed as part of the Payroll Master File on a test question, cross it out immediately. Total trap. And here's Rule D, knowing the difference between a legal requirement and a best practice. The test will try to trip you up with things that are, nice to have, but not federally required. FLSA and IRS mandates, those are legal requirements. But a direct deposit authorization, that's just a best practice. It's a modern convenience. Under federal law, an employer can legally pay you with a paper check or even cash. So if a question asks what's legally required under the FLSA, direct deposit is going to be the wrong answer. All right, Section 3, Master Retention Timelines. Let's quickly break down the core retention timelines you absolutely have to memorize. First up, personnel records and records for terminated employees. Those fall under the EEOC rule. Keep them for 1 year. Next, pay equity supporting records. These are things like wage rates or job evaluations used to justify pay differences under the EPA. Keep those for 2 years. And finally, your core payroll records, governed by the FLSA and ADA, keep those for 3 years. 1, 2, 3. Definitely memorize that progression. Now, beyond those standard 1, 2, and 3-year rules, you've got these special longer-term timelines. For employee benefit plans and seniority or merit systems, the ADEA says you have to keep these for the life of the plan or system, plus 1 year after it ends or the employee terminates. And lastly, if an EEOC charge or lawsuit drops, all normal timelines freeze. You have to keep all relevant personnel and employment records until the case and every single appeal is completely wrapped up. Okay, let's put this to the test. Section 4, the CPP Practice Quiz. Question 1. Under the Fair Labor Standards Act, which of the following groups of data must be retained within an employee's payroll master record? A. SSN and performance evals. B. Address and regular hourly rate. C. Form I-9 and daily hours, or D. Emergency contact and occupation? Take a second, apply Rule A and Rule C from earlier, and lock in your guess. And the correct answer is B. Address and regular hourly rate are explicitly mandated by the FLSA. Let's look at why the others are textbook traps. Choice A includes performance evaluations. That's an HR thing. Choice C includes the Form I-9. Remember, that's our trick choice, separate immigration binder. And choice D includes emergency contacts, which is an HR convenience, not a payroll requirement. See, if you follow the logic, the wrong answers practically cross themselves out. Let's try question 2, focusing on confidential data. What is a compliance violation if found in an electronic payroll folder? Is it A, a scanned W-4, B, union dues authorization, C, a doctor's note for sick leave, or D, a premium holiday pay record? Channel that auditor mindset. What has absolutely no business being in there? Got it? The answer is C, a doctor's note for sick leave. Think back to the absolute strictness of Rule B. Under ADA and HIPAA, medical records have to be completely separated into a confidential, locked file. Leaving it in the payroll record is a major legal violation. The other options, W-4s, deduction authorizations, and premium pay records, that's exactly what a payroll master file is built for. It's the math and the taxes. All right, last one. Question 3. Which of the following is considered a primary payroll master file component for federal tax compliance, rather than an HR or personnel record? A, a handbook acknowledgement, B, a direct deposit form, C, Form W-4, or D, an exempt status job description? Keep in mind the difference between a legal mandate and a nice-to-have. The correct answer is C, the Form W-4. The W-4 is legally mandated by the IRS to support your tax withholding math. If it's missing, an auditor is going to penalize you big time. Choices A and D are classic HR files, but choice B, that's the Rule D trap we talked about. A direct deposit form is an awesome best practice, but it's not a federal requirement since you can legally be paid by paper check. Honestly, by just logically sorting information into payroll, HR, and medical, and memorizing those 1, 2, and 3-year timelines, you take all the guesswork right out of the CPP exam. So as we wrap up this explainer, I've got a question for you to keep this momentum going. What do you want to study next? Should we drill deeper into the tricky retention periods, or are you ready to conquer the math of overtime calculations? Let that guide your next study session. Thanks so much for joining me on the explainer.